do not get caught up on having to write a book solely based on certain structural formats that certain type of writing has to be.
That was special author guest Amanda Lee sharing her advice for authors. Stay tuned to hear more about Amanda's journey as an author here on Pages and Voices. I'm your host, Meg Bell. We'll be back after the intro. Welcome to Pages and Voices, the local author podcast, sponsored by the Allen County Public Library. This podcast is dedicated to featuring the works of talented authors within our community. Today's author guest is Amanda Lee Moore. Amanda is an up-and-coming local author originally from Texas. She is the creative mind behind the 2024 book We All Fall Down, a sci-fi fantasy apocalyptic tale. From a young age, Amanda has been an avid storyteller who is now the proud mother of 2 young adults. When she is not writing her next book, she is either painting her next canvas, designing journals and apparel, or working on a vlog or podcast episode. She lives by the motto, happy wife, happy life. Welcome to the podcast, Amanda. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great that you could join us. So, as we always do, I'm going to have you do a short reading from your book to give our listeners a taste of the story. But first, let me tell them about it to set the scene a little. This is an apocalyptic tale spun out of the mind of Amanda Lee. A group of friends have their lives turned upside down in an earth-shattering event that will send shivers down your spine. A roller coaster of a read, the story involves adventure, fantasy, sci-fi, drama, and horror. It is a warning to mankind about the fragility of Mother Earth and our tenuous connection to one another. Amanda, you're up.
Okay. I'm going to be reading the ending of Chapter 1 and the beginning of Chapter 2.
Okay.
The beastly henchmen arrive and enter what once was a safe space. The beastlies are arrogant and cruel, with a lust for brutality and crudeness. Their brows are so overgrown one can barely make out eyes. Their noses are often found bleeding due to constant picking at it. They have a wobbling stride to them, hunched backs, yet monstrously large and strong. None but one remained in the citadel. A withered old man sitting against the wall, tethered garments, mumbling to himself. "Where?" growled the white-haired beastly with blue skin. Spotting the feeble man, he rushed toward and lifted him off the ground. The withered old man had his eyelids sunken in and shut. He could not communicate nor see. "They left this one behind," laughed a purple-skinned beastly mocking the old withered man. Another beastly, whose large nose hung over his mouth, slapped the withered old man out the grip of the blue beastly. "Is one's a dud," snorted and laughing. Frail, brittle, and weak, they let the old withered man live. They figured living a tormented and suffering life is a fate far worse than death itself. Chapter 2, The Escape Club. The 7 friends sit in front of their computer monitors, hanging on to every word of Hiroyuki, the dungeon master's story, attentively taking notes as well. Right now, Blanche and Risotto are standing over Tylo. "I need the rest of y'all to roll a D20 to check the order," instructs Hiroyuki with a smile. "What do you mean?" asks Dean. "Quick announcement. I would like to introduce El Rey, the Bard Tiefling. He is a new player in this campaign as well as D&D itself," announced Hiroyuki. "How's it going? I'm excited to play. Also, the first time I've used this Discord chat. It's pretty cool that we can all play on here. And, I also once attended a LARPing, so that was cool," said Dean, nervous and excited. "Hi, hello, what's up?" The guild welcomed him. Dean rolls a perfect 20 and is up. Blanche, Risotto, and El Rey, same time tomorrow. Hopefully you all took good notes," Hiroyuki said, logging off the Discord chat. Dean and his new role-playing gaming guild said their goodbyes and logged off, anticipating tomorrow's campaign.
Thank you, Amanda, for giving us a taste of your book. So, in the About the Book section, you state, I hold no degree in literature or writing of any kind. I write for the joy of writing and storytelling. That being said, have you always written stories?
Written them, no, but told them, yes. I've always been a storyteller. I've always kind of teetered towards not so much dark stuff, but more cautionary tales. It's always been cautionary tales. My stories end up like cautionary tales, but it wasn't till I'd say my late 20s that I started writing down prompts or synopsises or just little notes on what I would like to eventually, take time to actually write books on.
Sure.
So they just collected space for so long, but now that I have the time and I'm in that chapter, as it were, in my life where I'm actually able to begin my writing journey, so...
Absolutely. So, do you recall the first story you ever wrote down?
Yes. Okay. I was in second grade. I had to have been on second grade because I was a brownie.
Oh, me too. I was too.
Yeah, I was a brownie Girl Scout. And
I crossed the bridge to become a Girl Scout.
Yeah. And I remember at school they had us memorize this weird song for a week, and it was such a weird song. It was called Agnalina Magnalina Ushka Washka Okamoka Poka was her name.
Huh, I don't know that one.
Okay.
So this was at Brownies?
No. This wasn't in Brownie. This was at school.
Just at school.
Yeah, this is at school. And it was so weird because the song was basically mocking this poor girl's appearance. She had 10 hairs on her head, 5 of them alive and the other 5 were dead. 2 eyes, one was purple, the other one was red, and 2 teeth, one pointed north, the other pointed south. So it was really weird. Yeah. So I don't know, I felt bad. So I went home and I remember drawing her out, but I made her look cutesy, like Strawberry Shortcake cutesy.
Yeah, you wanted her to feel better about herself.
And I wrote a little paragraph under it. And I mean, I don't remember verbatim what exactly it was, but the story was about her going into town and people would be excited to see her because she would tell them if it was going to rain or be sunny that day or be windy. And the reason why she looked like that was because she got struck by lightning so many times.
Well, that's really clever. Yeah. That's impressive in the second grade that you did that. Good for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, also included in the About This book, you mentioned that this story, We All Fall Down, was inspired by a dream, or more so, a nightmare. So this is a complicated tale. So how much of this happened in your dreams? Because, I mean, I've had some dreams, but I don't recall one ever so involved or intense. So how much of this did you dream?
Okay. Well, first off, I have very, very clear and vivid dreams. And I've always been a lucid dreamer. Always. And I've also, I have premonition dreams. And this dream in particular, I was a third person. I wasn't first person. So when I'm third person, like I'm more of a watcher. Yeah. But my senses could still pick up the visuals, the scents, the sounds. And I remember there was so many cries, yells, and wailing. And it was all coming from elderly people, children and women, and I could see a bridge. It kind of looked like the San Francisco Bridge, but
Uh-huh.
it wasn't the San Francisco Bridge, but it was a bridge like that.
Like the Golden Gate Bridge. Mm-hmm.
And then there was a big, large crack that appeared in the ground, and this huge plume that looked like a mist with spores in it comes shooting out. And then in the water, I saw something ginormous. Like, I can't even describe how big it was, rising up from the depths. And it looked like a stingray.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, you write about that at the end. Yeah, yep.
and then, yeah, that's it. That's what I saw. And I woke up, and I felt so compelled to, convey this in a message, not just to, my immediate family, but like to anybody willing to, listen. So I figured I could just put it in the book. I could just make a book of this, and then, whatever reader comes across, the seed will be planted.
What was the first thing you did when you decided I'm going to write this story?
When I got up, I got my mechanical pencil and wrote everything down in detail so that I don't forget. And then from there, I began, throughout the descriptive writing of things that was happening in that dream, began the self-weaving of this story that eventually, turned into the book.
Right. Okay. So chapter 1, Mad World, was a mythical tale, and it's how you open the book. What lesson were you hoping to impart that listeners would carry with them throughout the book?
Self-sacrifice.
Okay.
So you see the self-sacrifice happen with Tyloo, and throughout the book, there's a lot of self-sacrificing happening within each character based on what they end up having to go through.
Is this an Aesop fable? In other words, you are writing fiction that points to the truth?
Yes, I think like the message I'm trying to convey is we have lost, and when I say we, I mean all of humanity has lost focus of where our priorities should be, which is first and foremost, well, aside from walking in love with one another, no matter what, even when it's hard, our main priorities should be clean air, clean water, and a right-standing ecosystem. Instead, we have debris filling up in our stratosphere. We have our oceans being polluted, and there's microplastics in everything. So it's like a cautionary tale for
Taking care of the earth.
Yeah, and it's sad because now you have scientists saying it's too late. And it's like, this was meant to be a cautionary tale, because in the end, the meek are the ones that are going to suffer the worst, that are suffering the worst,
Right.
So.
Right. How long did it take you to write the story?
Oh, it didn't take long. It took like a month, maybe. It took a month, and then afterwards, another month to do the editing.
Okay. So, I have to ask, do you play Dungeons and Dragons? Because that's the only thing I know about it. I learned from Stranger Things. I have never played. We do have a D&D club here at the library for listeners who might be interested, but I don't really know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. So do you play?
Yes.
Okay.
I
I wondered if
play-
that was an interest.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I don't play as much as I would like to play, but I do play Dungeons and Dragons. And I think that's really cool that the library now has a club because it's a great way to build your strength in creative and storytelling. Because that's what Dungeons and Dragon is. You're getting together, socializing with people, and you're basically building one huge story throughout everyone's perspective, and it's really fun.
Okay. Okay. I thought maybe because it plays quite a role in this book for
Yeah.
listeners who haven't read the book. So if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, you might be interested because there are pieces of it in there. So I see also the book is published by the Fancy Mongers Press. Did you create this publishing house?
My husband and I did.
You did. Okay. I wondered. And so because of other things that I saw online. So what steps did you take or did he take to make that happen?
Well, first it's really just a matter of deciding we're going to stick to self-publishing. Because between the both of us, we have a lot of stories, up-and-coming stories we intend on publishing. He's also a writer. And I also do design journals as well.
Okay.
So we use that. It's all one like melting pot of,
For the publishing. That's what I saw, and that's why I wondered if this was something that you had created for yourselves.
Yeah.
So I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. The book was edited by Ryan Seymour. How did you get connected with Ryan?
12 years ago, I married my best friend. So, yeah.
So Ryan is your editor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That makes sense. So the back of the book attributes the cover art and the design to yourself. The cover is simple, yet it's very effective. How did you create that imagery?
Oh, I drew this.
By hand? Oh.
Yeah, I
that's
drew it.
great.
Yeah.
That's very detailed.
Yeah, thank you.
The bow and the, does he have what is that instrument?
Oh, it's like I created like a mix of a lyre and a guitar.
Okay.
Because he's a bard. So
Okay.
in the D&D, their weapon of choice is music. So they
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
there's so many. I mean, it's like it's a whole other universe in itself. You create your own characters.
Okay, so is this standard in D&D that music is the weapon of choice?
I mean, a lot of people like to do that.
Because that explains to me why Eddie got out his
Yes,
guitar and got on top of
yes,
the trailer.
yeah,
Like, I just thought that was a really cool thing they threw into
Yes,
season 4. But no, that is actually a standard in the game.
Yeah,
I
those
had
are
no idea.
bards. Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay, all right. We just learned something new, folks. So you didn't use software.
No. I drew it myself.
And then you just uploaded it to somewhere online?
Yeah, on Canva.
Canva. Okay, which is such a huge resource these days.
Yes, we love Canva. We use it for everything, like all our other projects.
And anybody can use it's a free service unless you sign up for the pro service.
Yeah.
So that's also good for our listeners to know if you aren't aware of
sure.
that. So what advice would you give an author working on their first book?
I would say not to be afraid to go against the tide. And when I say that, I'm speaking out of my own personal experience. Do not get caught up on having to write a book solely based on certain structural formats that certain type of writing has to be. Like, I just wrote down, my dream. From there, it webbed out to descriptive writing, and then from there, it weaved itself into a story. So, I mean, don't be afraid to do your own thing.
Just to get it into the world, to put it down on paper and see what you come up with. Yeah. All right. I like it. So I know you say in the foreword that We All Fall Down is a standalone story, But I personally feel like there could be more to this story. Have you ever considered a follow-up to the book?
You're not the first person to ask me that.
I want to know what happens next. Yeah.
But the answer's no.
No more.
No.
Okay.
My intention was to get the message out, convey what it is that I experienced in my nightmarish dream, and I leave it up to the reader itself. What happens
Next.
Yeah, it could either be, positive or negative. It's based on the reader, what happens, what they choose to do with it.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just
all
like
right.
a D&D kind of.
Yeah. Yes, that all makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to move into some lighter questions now. What books are you currently reading?
Okay. Well, I recently finished reading a book on Copernicus, and I'm currently reading a natural remedy book on holistics and apothecary, and of course the Bible. I read the Bible every day. And whenever I'm doing my chores around the house, I love listening to audiobooks.
Yeah.
And I go with whatever the algorithm, hits me with. And it's always the same, which I don't mind. It's Agatha Christie. I love her dialogue. Conan O'Doyle, and any short story by, I think, Roald Dahl. I think. Yeah. That's it. So
Okay.
far. Oh, and Isaac Asimov. Yeah.
That's quite the range.
Yeah.
It really is. So now I'm going to backtrack a minute because you mentioned something, and it makes me want to mention something else. You mentioned audiobooks.
Yes.
And we were talking before we started taping that We All Fall Down is going to be...
It's an audiobook. Yeah, we're going to be, we're going to do a little casting call for the audiobook to get, the community involved and who wants to be a part of,
bringing the story to life.
Because there's a lot of characters in it.
There is, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, we intend on doing that sometime around the summertime, actually, yeah.
Okay, that'd be a fun summer project. And that kind of actually segues nicely into my next fun question. If your book were made into a movie, who are a few people you would want to star in it?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's a lot of characters, but I could give you just a handful.
Sure.
First, for sure, William Dafoe would play Razik.
Oh, that makes sense. I get it.
Lee Pace would play Tylo. Charlie Theron would play Calixtra. And Martin Freeman would be Addison's father.
Okay. Okay. I like it. So I noticed a lot of songs in this book, but I think maybe that, based on what we just said about D&D, maybe that all goes together. But I feel like you could have had a playlist for this book.
Yeah.
So are these some of your favorite songs that got mentioned in the book?
Yes, they're from my Spotify list.
Got it. I had to go. I'm a child of the 80s.
Yeah.
But like yacht rock.
Yeah.
So I still listen to a lot of yacht rock. But I had to go look some of these songs up because I was not familiar with them.
Yeah.
So I learned something new that way as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could spend the day with another popular author, who would you choose?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Okay. You and half of...
Yeah.
He is still so widely read, still so popular.
Yes.
I just helped somebody find a book by him last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could just sit and pick at his brain, yeah. I mean, he spent so many years making his own language, and all his stories are, I could go on a...
Yeah, well,
tangent.
actually, the book that I helped somebody look for last night was the I can't say it.
The Silmarillion, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
It was basically almost like his version of the Bible.
Yeah,
but,
a bunch of fables.
Yeah, it's I've read all that one. If you haven't read it, you should totally check it out. But
I want to ask what's next, because I know that you have some projects on the horizon, and I want our listeners to know about those things. So tell us what's next, Amanda.
Okay, well, I just recently published another book called Feasts and Fables. It's combining recipes with short stories. And currently I'm working on my third book, and that one's going to be a fantasy horror.
Okay.
So
Is that one based on a dream?
no, it's actually based on you know what? I was just it was when I was writing this book. I was sitting and writing this book, and when I write it, I have to write on paper. I can't just type it down. I need to see it
Longhand,
yeah, first. So while I'm there writing, I write really fast because I have to convey everything before, you know,
Your thoughts are moving so fast, you have to write that. Yeah, I understand.
Yes. So while I'm doing that, and I was taking a break, and I looked out the window, and there was a ladybug, and I was like, oh, ladybug. And then this story popped in my head, so I had to put this aside and quickly write down
Another story?
Yeah. But then I, left that for, okay, this is afterwards. But while I was writing this, my husband was like, oh, you really got to get into the other story because he knows what the other story is about. And I'm like, okay, but now that I've gotten into that project, yeah, he's like, and see, my husband's he's a writer too, and I take his critique very, in high regard.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's a big support to you.
Yes.
That's wonderful that you guys are such a great team.
Yeah, we're blessed. Thank you, Lord. And but yeah, if I can have him at the edge of his seat every time I read him, the 5 pages that I've written within the hour, and he's like, okay, what happens?
You've done a good job. Yeah, that's great. I love that. So one last thing, but this is a big thing. How can fans reach you? And I know there's lots of ways that they can get in touch with you.
Through our email, thefancymongers@gmail.com. And if they would like to meet and greet with me, I will be having my first book signing this year on the 27th of September at Half Priced Books here in town.
And that's up on Coliseum,
yes,
right?
Coliseum.
And we were speaking earlier, I believe that you have a YouTube channel that they can also jump on. Is that right?
Yes. We have a couple, but...
Let's hear it.
Oh, okay.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so the first one is Fancy Mongers Press. That one has audio with some visuals of short stories that I've written. And then there's another one called Grab Your Popcorn. And that one is based on actual events that I've experienced, from paranormal to cryptoid and it's more of a hair-tingling.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify as well. You could find it on Spotify as well. It's called Grab Your Popcorn.
Okay, so that's on Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I know we have a lot of listeners who are interested in that.
Yeah.
Well, I should say patrons because they get into the ominous spooky things.
Yes.
All right, great. All right, are we good? Are you can share with them?
That's
okay.
fine for now.
Okay. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I've enjoyed meeting you and getting to know you better.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you to those who listened in. Stay tuned for more authors on Pages and Voices. I'm your host, Meg Bell. Until next time. Thank you for joining us on Pages and Voices, a source for local authors and their stories. From the studios of Access Fort Wayne at the Allen County Public Library in downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana, I'm your host, Meg Bell. A special thank you to Kay Gregg for her work engineering and editing this episode. We've explored fascinating stories and insightful discussions today, but our journey doesn't end here. Find more episodes of Pages and Voices wherever you listen to podcasts. If you enjoyed this podcast, please show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with your friends and family. Stay tuned for more inspiring conversations with the area's authors and their insights into the written word. Until next time, keep turning the pages, and we look forward to welcoming you back soon.